Happy, well, Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Today is August the 19th, 2020. In the age of COVID-19 and of the new millennium Great Depression, which we are now in this wicked system of Babylon. Greetings to all those of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, otherwise known as Eidos. Greetings to those who are grafted in among us, who are not Eidos, but seek the same Most High Yah and Messiah, Yahweh the Messiah. Greetings to all who are seeking through the power of the Spirit of the only true God, the Creator Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, to be obedient to his covenant and bringing forth that obedience by the power of his Spirit of perfect righteousness, which he offers us through as a gift. Greetings to all. Shabbat Shalom, Junior. Shabbat Shalom, excuse me, Shalom, Junior. I'm so used to doing these things on Sabbath, I forget it's Wednesday. Okay. So it is now political season in the United States, which means you have conventions of the two major parties, Democrat and Republican, which means that they are now individuals running for president, which can be a very frustrating time. And it reminds us of the age in which we live. We are living in an age of hypocrisy. That's right. We're in a system that's already a worldwide system. I mean, we're living in it, and most people don't even recognize that that's the case. We're in a worldwide system. Countries are interdependent of each other. We're in a worldwide economic system. We're in a worldwide political system. Pay attention now. If you look and see the political winds that have been taking place in the United States, you will notice that the same political winds are taking place in the UK and in France and in Germany and in all the European-led countries. The same political systems, the same winds are taking place. We're in a situation right now in the United States where, because of this COVID-19 virus, whereby approximately 160 or 70,000 people have died in the United States, and more than that, over 500,000 worldwide. And there are only over 5 million cases in the United States, and more than that, obviously, worldwide. Well, because of that, people have not been able, in many cases, to go to their jobs. Not because they don't want to go to their jobs. They have not been able to go to their jobs because it's been dangerous because of the virus, the spread of this virus. Okay. Now, as a result of that, many people don't have enough savings because of this wicked system of Babylon. Let me just make sure we understand. It's not because people are lazy, as the propaganda tries to say. It's not because people are overspending beyond their means, as propaganda tries to say. Remember, brothers and sisters, whenever you see some redneck, ignorant Republican or somebody that's a so-called Democrat or liberal on the television telling you that people aren't saving because they're spending too much, or they're living beyond their means, it's garbage. Because you're not being paid enough to live within your means. You're not being paid enough to pay the average rent and save money. You're not being paid enough to pay the average mortgage and save money. It's set up that way. The entire system that we live in is built on debt. And it's by design. To keep you enslaved and to keep me enslaved. Okay? That's the system in which we are in. So because of that, most people don't have the savings. And if they do, they're using it up quick to live without working before they retire. And even many people don't even have the money to retire. As you notice, if you go to a Walmart or you go to a Target or you go to a local supermarket, you will see many people above retirement age working in these places, not because they want to work, They will say that because of their pride, because they can't afford to not work. Okay? So in a system like this, and people cannot work, you're going to have a lot, and you will, and you're having a lot of people that can't pay their rent, can't make their car payments, and they are being kicked out of their places onto the street. And they are, I'm seeing it every day, even here where I live in the Washington, D.C. area, every day. And I know what it looks like because I've had 7 cars repossessed in my life. I know what it's like when a repo truck comes and takes a car in the middle of the day, or on a Sunday, or on a weekend when they think people are home, or late at night. And there are a lot of them flowing around here right now. So our government, understanding these things, gives us a little bit of money to make ends meet. Many times, we don't even get that little bit that they promised us, and then they come back and tell us they think it's too much. They think they're giving us too much. In a society in which we call it democracy, okay, where things are supposed to be fair, we have a constitution, we have elected officials, supposedly, who supposedly work for the people. They are power tripping and they're making money. For example, in the Senate and in the House, look it up, especially the Senate, the majority of the people in the Senate, I'm going to say conservative, and I'm being conservative, of the 100 members of the Senate of the United States, at least 80 of them are multimillionaires that are public servants. You're not supposed to get rich as a public servant. How did they get that money? Some of them inherit it. Some of them earn it while they're senators. Same in the House. The majority leader in the House, Nancy Pelosi, is a $100 or $200 million. How does she get that kind of money? It's called kickbacks. In other words, they get people that come to them and that represent companies. And these companies will give money to them for representing their interests in Congress and Senate. Now, you and I, they're called lobbyists. We can't afford that. But powerful, rich people, like the Edomites, right? Or the beast powers people, they can do it. Okay, you got your Koch brothers on the Republican side. You got your George Soroses on the Democratic side, and many more like them. They can control Congress. In fact, they can buy congressmen and senators for money. Okay, and when the congressmen and senators, they can't spend the money that's given directly to their campaigns. But what they can do is they can purchase shares of companies in stock. They can do that. Or, and especially when they leave office, like we had a Vice President, Dick Cheney, even the last Vice President, Joe Biden, his son went to China and got a loan for $1 billion. That's corruption. That's hypocrisy. Okay. And just, I think it goes without saying, brothers and sisters, that any nation or country or person whose life, whose situation is built on hypocrisy cannot last. And it all, for the most part, it's all dealing with money. I was looking today at some videos on YouTube about the Vietnam War. They were interviewing people who had come back from Vietnam. They're older, obviously, now. And these interviews took place in the 80s for the most part. So they were like 20 years removed from Vietnam and in the 90s. And, you know, the people that came back from Vietnam were talking about how one guy came and said, you know, he thought he was fighting for his country. Then he goes over there and he realizes it's not for his country. He realizes that it's a game. He's in the jungle and he's realizing this game is a Caucasian man. And so he decided, while he was a captain or whatever, he was in charge of several men. His goal was to make sure he didn't want to defeat the enemy. He wanted to make sure his people stayed alive. Okay, so if they were taking fire from someplace, he tried to make it greater than it was so that they didn't have to go attack that. They would get reinforcements before they did anything to keep his people alive. This is his goal, because he realized this was not any war for democracy or for freedom of anybody. It was for corporations. And he was right. Corporations that make bullets and guns and helicopters and planes and ships and missiles and poisons and boots and uniform and rations and many other things get paid for war. Okay? Major corporations. Then, of course, you have these helicopters and planes, and you have other apparatuses that are run what? By software and computers. So you have software companies and computer companies also making money from war. Where do they get the money from? The government. Where does the government get the money from? Me and you, the taxpayers. And no matter what we want, it doesn't matter. So war is for profit. It's always for profit. I don't care what war you're dealing with. The only war that wasn't for profit, and even that was fought over money in a secondary sense as well, is the Civil War. The Civil War, the Most High allowed it to take chains off our necks. But Gog and Magog, with the Edomites, the beast powers, they were determined to keep those chains on us. The Most High has allowed it since then to awaken us and prepare the 144,000 for the message they're going to bear, the testimony they're about to give. Okay, that's all the delay was for. But war, as I was going about the Vietnam War, is for profit. It's for profit of a few people. It's for money. Okay, now in the Bible, money, when you look up the word money, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, money is generally referred to as silver. In the Bible, they generally, the currency, the shekel or whatever it was made out of silver. Okay, so money is referred to as silver. So let's take a look here in a very famous text, 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6. Let's see. Oh, let's start at verse 6 and go down to verse 10, 6 to 10. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 to 10. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich will fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which, while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Of course, also we know what the Messiah said about money. Hardly shall a rich man enter the kingdom of Yah. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom. Okay, now that is at odds with the current state of affairs we now see. I just mentioned to you how corporations get rich from war. Okay, they get rich from war. So what happened in Vietnam, for example, they had this skirmish, this war. They sent tens of thousands of American troops there. The North Vietnamese were being supported by China and Russia. The South Vietnamese were supported by the United States. At the end of it, the North Vietnamese won the war, and the United States soldiers were withdrawn, and they took some Vietnam citizens with them, which now are here in the United States, and the war was over, and we lost the war. Well, we think we lost the war because we didn't take over the territory. See, it's about the land too. But to the corporations, they won because they made billions. They say that war in today's dollars costs over $100 billion. Now, the war that's still going on in Afghanistan is costing $1 billion a month. It's been going on for 10 years or longer. Okay? Who's making all of that money? Who's paying all of that money? You and me are paying. Corporations are making. When we need money for the common people who can't go to work because of the virus, and they say that the majority of those jobs are permanently lost, because I know my daughter worked for a place that was in the mall, a local mall, a little store in the mall, permanently out of business. Can't come back. Even if the virus is gone tomorrow, they can't come back. Okay, had to close shop. Many stores got to close shop. Okay, and those jobs are gone. Some countries are issuing what's called a universal basic income to cover people during this time, but not the United States of America. The beast of Revelation 13 that comes out of the earth, the one that looks like a lamb but speaks as a dragon, that's hypocrisy. She says, no, we're not giving you anything. We might give you the $600 a week, and then we need to reduce that, and we're doing you a favor. Oh, you need a lump sum? $1,200. That can't even cover some people's rent. Okay? One-time payment. So, brothers and sisters, we are living in a world. This is not new. The hypocrisy has been going on since the foundation of the country. How do I know that? Listen, we are Israelites. We are ADOS, African descendants of slaves. That's who we are. And the African descendants of slaves are fulfilling prophecy, which said they would be slaves, because we actually come from the land of Israel. That's where we come from. We fled beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, the Bible tells us, and we're taken into all nations captive. Okay? So the ADOS worked for 250 years in the United States, at least 250 years, probably longer than that, for free. Anytime you get 5 million people, and that's what you're dealing with, that work for 250 years for you for free, you barely give them food, you barely give them clothing, you barely give them little huts to live as houses, and they're working for you in fields 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for free. You're going to get rich. You got to be an idiot not to get rich off of that. Selling cotton, selling tobacco, selling all kinds of goods and vegetables, selling corn, grain, sugarcane. You got to be an idiot not to get rich. All the European countries got rich off of that. Not just the United States now. They were selling England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy. They all got paid. Portugal. Portugal was getting paid off the South. Over there, what's in Brazil right now. They got paid off of that. South Africa, the Dutch got rich off of that. Okay? And all of these nations are hypocrites, because they claim to be fair nations. And they got paid and got rich off the back of Yah's chosen people. That alone tells you this whole system is going to be destroyed. Not only that, we talked about money meaning silver. But the enemy of souls, Asatan, has used the Edomites to even change money. You see, if money is silver, right? As much silver as you have, that's how rich you would be, right? So then they changed it from silver to gold. We were on what's called in the United States a gold standard. What does that mean? That means the value of paper money is only as valuable as the amount of gold that backs it. So if you have $1 of paper money, it represents $1 of gold. That's the gold standard. And so you can't make the dollar any more than the gold is worth, or how much gold you get, which is why they went into places like Africa, and they also went into Alaska, and they also went into was now California, and they snatched as much gold as they can get, they being the sons of Yefet. Okay? As much gold as they could get. Now, they had it in the United States in a place called Fort Knox. They still got a bunch of it in New York City, in a place called the New York Federal Reserve. But the majority of the gold is in England with the Queen in the name of the papacy. Okay? And the papacy has their own vaults full of gold. So what they do, they created what they call a Federal Reserve Bank, and they put the value on paper. Then they took us off the gold standard. So the value is strictly paper. There's no gold behind it. There's no silver behind it. It's strictly paper. So now they can create money out of thin air. And even more, instead of paper, they can create money on a computer screen. Okay? And then, of course, now you got cryptocurrencies. They can create money out of many things and control it. So now they control the money. They give you, or they allow you to be paid less than what you really need to live. The majority of people in the United States are paid less than what they need to live. How do you know? How do I know this? When I was 5 years old, I'm 59 now. When I was 5 years old, my mother and my father purchased a house on Long Island in New York. They had the house built from the ground up. Of course, they couldn't put their own name on the mortgage because they wouldn't get a mortgage. So my mother's Caucasian boss signed for the mortgage. Okay, that's how they got the house. So they get this house, and it's not well built. And we're in a neighborhood where pretty much all the houses were just like ours. They were all raised ranches, built exactly the same, very cheaply built. Okay. That house, built from ground up in 1966, 65, cost $16,000. It had 5 bedrooms. It had 2 full baths, a quarter acre of land. $16,000. Okay. At that time, my mother and my father together, working full time, made about $16,000. So the house cost was about a combined of their income of 1 year's salary. Maybe they made a little less than that. Maybe they made 14, but it was close to their salary. Okay. That same house, that very same house, today, 55 years later, is $400,000. That's right. The same house, $400,000. Now, for it to be the same situation, a couple that buys that house has to earn somewhere around $400,000. But that is not the case. If a couple's doing well, they'll get that house and they might combine earn of $100,000, which the house is 3 times with it, and it's more than that in most situations. Most times people are buying houses that are 3 or 4 times what their annual income is. And you're paying, by the time you pay all the interest off from these scoundrels, you're paying for that house 3 times. Same with a car. It's actually worse than a car. They want you to lose the car because cars are, they take them, clean them up, resell them, and they just keep getting people in debt. That's a big game. Okay. But it's the system. It's a hypocrisy system that we're in. And it's led by hypocrites. Much more. Hypocrisy is deceit, brothers and sisters. That's what it is. Hypocrisy is a lie. In other words, you're fronting like you're representing one thing and you're not representing. Messiah called the scribes and Pharisees hypocrites because they were representing Moses and they didn't really represent Moses. He said they were dirty inside, like graves full of dead bones. You see, brothers and sisters, you can create all the laws you want. They can create laws, which they have, saying Black people should have the right to vote. That's a federal law. They can create laws saying you can't infringe on a person's civil rights. Supposed to be able to protect the ADOs, but we know it doesn't. Because you can make as many laws as you want. It does not change a person's heart. Laws don't change a person's heart. Notice again, Jeremiah. Let me see where this thing is. Hold on, I'm gonna find this one. Yeah, Jeremiah. It's in Jeremiah. I know it is. I just need to find exactly where it is. Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah, yes, there it is. Jeremiah 17. I'm on 17. I knew it was here somewhere. Okay. Notice this. Jeremiah chapter 17. The Most High is here writing about Judah. Okay. Let me start at verse 1 just to get context. Jeremiah chapter 17, from verse 1 down to verse 10. Okay. The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altars. Whilst their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills, O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders. He's talking about what he did to us. That's why we're in slavery. That's why we are now where we are. Okay, this is what happened. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine inheritance that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. This is why we're in the situation we're in. Thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departeth from Yahweh. Cursed is the man that puts his trust in man. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man who trusteth in Yahweh, in whose hope Yahweh is. So when we put all our hope and trust in the Most High Yah, we're blessed. I know that's hard to fathom in this hypocritical age in which we live, in which everybody's chasing money. I know that's hard to believe, but he said, you put all your trust in the Most High. Don't put your trust in man. Okay? Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahweh and whose hope Yahweh is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh. But her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings. Brothers and sisters, you can pass all laws you want. If a person's heart is deceitful, it's not going to matter. They're going to do what they do. Okay? And when you have a whole nation, and then within it, in the religious side, denomination, built on deceit and hypocrisy, built on deceit and hypocrisy, it's going to be destroyed. Because when it's deceit and hypocrisy, it's man. Because man's heart is what? Deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. And that's why you can see. I mean, I don't have to explain to the ADOS in the United States of America. You can see the willful ignorance on the part of the majority, can't you? You can see it. They don't want to think that they owe us for 250 years of free labor. Matter of fact, they can never repay that. There is no reparations that can pay that for a couple of reasons. The dollar bills are worthless. So even if we wanted gold, you're talking about trillions of dollars. I mean, trillions. When you talk about interest, when you talk about suffering, you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars of gold, which they are never going to give us. Or they can just give us the keys to the place, which they ain't going to do. So they'll never be able to repay what they owe. And it's not just here. It's in Australia. It's in South Africa. It's in all of the African nations where they have puppet governments or have had, which are many. It's in all of the nations of Central America, which have had puppet governments, which are many. It's in Germany. It's in France. It's in Portugal. It's in Italy. It's in England, the UK. All of these nations owe, and they can never repay. So how does that work? righteousness is going to win. Righteousness is going to win. Remember what the Most High said. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yah and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. You cannot see the kingdom of Yah unless you're born again. You can only be born again of Yah's spirit. Yah's spirit is a spirit of perfect righteousness. His spirit of perfect righteousness causes you to see yourself as you are. His spirit of perfect righteousness is a covering for us to cause our sins to be hidden and forgiven. His spirit of righteousness not only does that, but it changes our mind. It gives us a new mind, a mind that seeks to bring glory to the Creator. And that glory is given to the Creator from that same spirit of righteousness that he puts within us, that causes our works to be accepted. Without it, our works are not accepted. We get that righteousness through the Messiah, who represents righteousness to the Father on our behalf. He became sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of the Most High in him. That's the only way. This got nothing to do with a church with a white Jesus. Got nothing to do with a man-made religion or a dollar bill. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yah and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. Brothers and sisters, the two things Messiah told us to seek: the kingdom, to seek after the kingdom. That means the business we do on this earth is for Yah's kingdom. Let me ask you a question. Does Yah need dollar bills with dead presidents on it? He said the cattle of 1,000 hills is his. The gold and the silver is his. Nobody owns it. These people, no people on earth own that stuff. That's his already, no matter where they dug it up and found it. So there's nothing you can give him. So he doesn't need man or his money. What he's looking for is the hearts and minds of his people. What he's looking for is a person that is seeking to bring honor and glory to him by obedience to his commandments. And he understands that our hearts are deceitful. Therefore, he gives us a new heart by the power of his spirit of perfect righteousness. That's the only way you could do it. Because, brothers and sisters, open your eyes and see hypocrisy is all around us. The government, these Democrats and Republicans, they're hypocrites. The pastors of these churches, they're hypocrites. The whole church system is hypocrisy. We don't get any justice here. What we can get, though, is the protection of the Most High. He can protect us when man can't protect us. He delivered the apostle Kepha, Shimon Kepha, who was called Peter, from he was chained up, arms, legs chained up, chained to 2 soldiers on every side, 16 soldiers guarding him, and that brother walked right out of jail. They didn't even see him. He walked right out. Okay? He can protect us. The prophet Elisha was in his house with Gehazi. The Syrians came with an army just for him, an army armed just for this man. And when they got to where he lived, they surrounded his house. Gehazi was scared. Elisha, or Elisha, was not. Elisha prayed and said to the Most High, open this man's eyes. And when he opened his eyes, he saw angels with flames of fire all in the hills. And they asked him what he wants to do. He said blindness. He smote them with blindness, walked them into the main area of the nation, fed them and sent them home. Brothers and sisters, these are not parables. These are not fake stories. I tell you what, if y'all believe these are parables and fake stories, you can stop listening. I believe these are real. We serve a God that's invisible, that everything we made, that every tree, every cloud, every sun, every star is made by him. And he didn't have to do it with his hands. He spoke it and it came to pass. The only thing he made with his hands is man and woman. That's the only thing he made with his hands. Everything else, he said, let there be, and it existed. Because his word is with power. And that's who's the God of the only people that he has ever chosen. He's only chosen one people. And they're now called Ados, African descendants of slaves. That's his chosen. Now, only a remnant of that chosen is going to come to him. The majority of the chosen is going to be like Kamala Harris, a sellout, a sellout, a sellout. That's the majority of chosen. She's Ados. Her father from Jamaica. See, don't believe these ignorant Negroes talk about your father's got to be a Hebrew. That is stupid. Why is it stupid? I'll tell you why. We've been in slavery for 400 years. There's not a black man in the United States of America that has not had a family member raped by a white man. Everybody got white men in their family. So it's stupid for somebody to say, oh, you know, your father's got to be Hebrew. They're trying to compare it to when our fathers came back from Persia. When our fathers came back from Persia, they knew who they was. Nobody had to tell them they was Hebrew. They had Hebrew names. They had only been in Persia for 70 years, between Babylon and Persia. 70 years, 70. That's it. We've been here for 400. And before that, we 2,000 years scattered. 2,000 years ago, we left Jerusalem and were scattered into Africa. We got all kind of bloodline mixed up in us. What makes us the true Hebrews is the fact that our fathers had chains around their neck. Anyway, those are the chosen. Those are the ones. Among them going to come forth a remnant. And that's Yah's people. And those that hang on to them, again, Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8. Notice what it says. This is going to come, this is going to happen. Zechariah chapter 8. From verse 20 to verse 23, Zechariah chapter 8. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and inhabit the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, let us go speedily to pray before Yahweh and to seek Yahweh of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem and to pray before Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew or of the southern kingdom of Judah, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that Yah is with you. Yeah, that principle, even though that's later, that principle stands now. Because the Bible does say we will come from different nations on carriages. In other words, people from other nations are going to recognize who we are and what we represent. And because of the truth and because of righteousness, they will cling to us. It's not going to be the majority, because this is not about money. This whole earth is all about money, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, when you get people that are turncoats, which are people that look like us, again, I like to point out, Judas was an Israelite. Was he not? Was he not bloodline of Abraham? The scribes and Pharisees that basically turned our Savior, our brother, over to the Gentiles. They turned him over to the Gentiles and falsely accused him before the Gentiles. They were all children of Abraham. Okay? Fred Hampton was murdered by the police with the aid of a black man. Malcolm X was shot in his chest with a shotgun by a black man who was protected by the government in New Jersey until he died. It's always one of us that they use to portray us. And it's not that's not changed. It's going on right now. People posing as Israelites or Hebrew Israelites that are really working for the government to get a few dollars. Judas did it for 30 pieces of silver, man. will sell out for just some money. And it's not even silver, it's paper now. What they call it? Getting paper. You ever heard that term? Let's get this paper, because that's what it is, paper. And people will sell you out for it. But we're not concerned. Messiah knew who Judas was when he showed up, and he wasn't concerned with Judas. He was concerned for Judas. He said it'd been better for him if he hadn't been born. He did say that, and it would have been. So he wasn't concerned with Judas. What was Messiah concerned with? Only one thing. Father, not my will be done, but thy will be done. The glory of the Father. That's all he was concerned with. And today, it has not changed. The remnant of Israel will only be concerned with the glory of the Father. The biggest way we can glorify the Father, what Messiah say? If you love me, keep my commandments. How do you keep his commandments? Let's review. By the power of a spirit of righteousness that the Father gives us as a gift. See, again, it works the same with the Father's law as with man's law. You say, well, yeah, how do I mean? What do I mean? Father can have a covenant of 10 commandments. That does not change the heart of a man. If a man is a thief, he's going to steal, even if it says, thou shalt not steal. If a man is a murderer, he's going to murder. He's going to kill, even if it says, thou shalt not kill. If a man covets money, he's going to covet it, even if it says, thou shalt not covet. So the words of the law is not going to change the man. But the Spirit of the Father writing the law on our hearts, that changes the man. That changes the man. It changes him from the inside. See, we're going to get new bodies. The Most High is going to give us new bodies. Shalom to those that came in. He's going to give us new bodies. But first thing he has to do is give us a new mind. A mind that's not given over. See, we need money for survival. It's a difference needing money to pay your rent, get your food, and, pay your electric bill or whatever. That's different than trying to get billions and millions to be famous. But the way they do this, the way Asatan has done it, is he made sure we're all short. We're all short, right? We're just short all the time. So we don't have enough. Therefore, we crave what we don't have. We don't have enough money, so we crave money, right? And I don't believe, listen, there have been brothers living in slums. I've known some of them living in slums, struggling. I knew one brother, he ended up doing a lot of time in federal prison for having a block of pure cocaine. Kilo. Okay. Well, what happened? How did he get into that? I remember my boy got a girl pregnant, and he had to pay child support. He was working in a restaurant to pay his child support. Okay. Actually, he was working 2 jobs to pay his child support. He had 2 kids. One of the sisters that had the child wanted more money. He couldn't pay any more money and pay his rent. Sister took him to court. Court awarded her more money. Because he couldn't pay, she reported him. He ended up in jail. At that moment, he decided, I'm gonna start slinging these rocks, man, because I can't make it. So he started slinging the rocks, and he paid the girl her money, paid that money, and of course had a lot extra. Finally, he gets busted and does 12 years federal time. Now, is he just some nasty drug dealer? No, he was trying to survive in a system that keeps him from making it. Now, I'm not advocating people sling rocks, but I understand. You see what I'm saying? I'm not advocating you do break the law, but I understand. They put it out in front of you. But you see, brothers and sisters, my brother, my friend, still one of my A-spoons, he doesn't know the Most High. You don't know the Most High. I do. And I know the Most High will provide. He provides for me. I have a roof over my head. I was able to work in this COVID. Not because I'm so smart, it's because he has provided for me. Okay? He has provided for me. I'm not rich. I am definitely not rich. I'm poor. I owe. Anytime you owe, you poor. Okay? When you say I owe, you poor. I don't care how much money you make. So, brothers and sisters, we have a God that's able to provide for us. When this Babylonian system, if you don't know the Most High, will have you scared, will have you worried, will have you doing things that you would have otherwise not done. And it has brothers becoming Judas for a few dollars, turning on us for a few dollars. There's not much more time left. Really is not much more time left. This hypocrisy. See, this is the thing, brothers. This is, again, let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. Matthew 24. We're going to begin Matthew 24. We're going to begin verse 20 and go down to verse from 24, from verse 20 down to verse 24. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Obviously, he's talking about the time of Jerusalem at that time. He was talking about leaving the Jerusalem area, and he was talking about leaving while it's not the Sabbath. That's how important the Sabbath is. He said, pray that you don't have to run on the Sabbath. You know, pray the Most High lead you away from Jerusalem, from Judea, and it's not Sabbath. Pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. He was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, but of course, this is also a sign of the destruction that's going to come here in our time. Okay, that was talking about Jerusalem, but he's also talking about the end time. Prophecy is always like that. Okay, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Great tribulation. At that time, Jerusalem and the temple leveled, destroyed. Historically speaking, they say there were thousands of crosses lining the roads going to Jerusalem because they were just putting brothers on crosses and hanging them on trees. Okay, ones that didn't escape. They were selling people into slavery. There were black slaves by tens of thousands that were being sold into slavery. Messiah said there's going to be wrath on this people. That's us. That was our fathers. Okay. He said, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. This is the point here that I'm making. Brothers and sisters, Satan's kingdom is built on hypocrisy and murder. If the Most High was to allow it, it would destroy itself. Let me say that again. If the Most High would allow it, hypocrisy, murder would destroy itself. People would end up destroying themselves. The example is in 1 Chronicles chapter 20, when you see the Edomites, Moabites, and Ammonites come out together against Judah, and they end up destroying each other. If left to themselves, wickedness will destroy itself. It will. And that's why he said he's shortening the days. Because if man left to himself, he would destroy himself and everything on it. Let me tell you also, you guys know, historically speaking, there's only one nation in the history of the world that dropped an atomic bomb on another nation. Okay? Only one. So right now, we have the United States, the Soviet Union, India, Germany, France, UK. They all have China, now North Korea, and other nations. They all have atomic weapons. They all have atomic weapons. Okay? They all have atomic weapons. And yet there's only one of those nations that have actually dropped that weapon on another nation. The United States did it. The first time they did it, Japan surrendered. But Truman wanted to prove a point to the Russians. So he destroyed an entire another city, tens of thousands of people dead, just to prove a point. The world understands this. What do I mean by that? That means they understand that if we did it once, we'll do it again. It's like you got a crazy person. The crazy, like when I was growing up, the craziest people in the neighborhood were ones you didn't mess with. Because they were crazy enough to beat up everybody, to shoot or kill and stab. You don't want them to do that because they'll do it to you. That's the United States. Everybody knows they're crazy. So they don't mess with them. Because in fact, everybody has these powerful weapons. Nobody really wants to use it. The United States already showed they've done it. Okay. And if the Most High did not shorten the days, it'd be over. It'd be over. The winds that are being held back for the 144,000 is the Most High keeping this earth going until his people are sealed. Then he's going to come deliver his people, because he said, except the days should be shortened, no flesh should be saved. It's not meaning nobody will be faithful. It's meaning that if it was allowed, everybody would die, because wickedness will destroy itself. It will destroy itself. Okay? If any man shall say unto you, lo, here's Messiah, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. That is, if it were possible. It's not possible to deceive the elect. But that's going to show you how good the counterfeit is going to be. Our only protection, as I've said many times, is in the word of the Most High and the spirit of the Most High. That's our protection. Okay? And my brother here, he said, there's no excuse for black men elders to make his choice. I'm not going to say that, because I've never been in that situation. And I was there when my brother was suffering like that. He was in jail and was told, you're going to come back to jail unless you can make up this money. And that's the way he did it. Again, I am not excusing illegal drug trafficking. I'm not excusing somebody selling drugs, but I'm saying I understand. Part of empathy, what is empathy? Empathy is being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand where they're coming from. Some people can survive out here homeless. I don't know how some of them do it, but they do. They shouldn't have to, but they do. And then there's some people that can't. They'll steal, they'll rob, they'll kill, they'll sling rocks in order to survive. But what I am saying is, why should anybody be placed in that position if we're in a righteous society? That's what I'm saying. There's enough money to pay everybody. There's enough money. The earth brings forth enough food just from the earth to feed everybody. Why are there people that didn't have enough food? Why are there people in some countries starving? Why are children going to bed hungry, even in the United States, every night? Because it's hypocrisy. Because the system is built on hypocrisy. And it's going to be destroyed. It's going to be destroyed. Don't let these politicians lie to you. You know, I did not watch the Democratic National Convention. I did not watch it. But I read the commentaries about it. And what I saw several people say that there was a whole bunch of hype and no policy. See, they used to offer policies and then lie to you and not fulfill the policy, right? They used to at least tell you, this is my policy, X, Y, and Z. And it sounded good. And people would vote for a person. That's how Donald Trump became president. He said, I'm going to bring jobs back to the United States. I'm going to take jobs from China. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna build this wall. Mexico's gonna pay for it. He lied, but he was promising a policy, and people chose to believe that policy. Okay, but now they're not even making policy. They're just giving hype and speeches, and they ain't saying nothing. They're not promising you anything, because you know why? They're not gonna give you nothing. They want people to think they're voting for them when they're being chosen by powerful people that bought them. Okay, and the only reason this continues is because the 144,000 are not fully sealed. When they're fully sealed, this is all going to go let loose. It's going to let loose, and it's going to do what it would naturally do. It's going to implode on itself. The Most High is going to come deliver us, because they're going to blame us. See, this is what happened. Adam in his sinful state, when Adam was caught trying to make himself fig leaves because the light of righteousness had left him. See, that's why he was trying to make himself fig leaves to cover himself up, because the light of righteousness was gone. The light that uncovered him when he was supposed to be naked. He said he's naked and didn't know it. The reason he didn't know it, he was covered in light, because he's made after the image of the Father. And Yah is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Okay? He's light, powerful light. And so he was covered in that light, and he lost it. And the first thing he did was blame the woman. The woman that you gave me. She gave me the fruit to eat. In other words, he's blaming the woman, and he's blaming the Most High. You gave me this woman gave me this fruit. Because that's what we do in the sinful state. Before we're born again, we blame everybody else and everything for our situation, for our spiritual situation. When we're born again, we don't blame anybody but self. and we acknowledge our transgression, and we acknowledge our sin, and the Most High forgives us through Messiah. And he puts on us his own righteousness. And that's why, brothers and sisters, the system is going to be destroyed because there's a lack of repentance. And we can wait because we have Yah's spirit. And we know what's coming. We know what's coming. See, this system would destroy itself if left to itself. But the Most High is holding back the wind that would destroy it for his people to be sealed. Not only that, the 144,000 must be sealed, and they must give a message to reach the rest of the people that are his, the ones that are going to make the call with power that say, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. He's telling us to come out of hypocrisy into the truth. Out of hypocrisy into the truth. We are so wrapped up in hypocrisy, brothers and sisters. Honestly, we're so wrapped up in hypocrisy that the Most High has to bit by bit show us, little by little. See, he told the disciples in the Gospel of John, he said, I have many things to show you. He said, but you can't bear them now. And he wasn't trying to down them. He wasn't trying to be negative. He was trying to tell them there are things that if he revealed it to them would be overwhelming to them. Okay? They'll be overwhelming. Let me see, where is that? Man, I can't find it right now. I think it's chapter 16. Let me take a look at chapter 16. Chapter 16. Yeah. Gospel of John, chapter 16. Going to begin at verse 1 and go down to verse 12. Gospel of John, chapter 16. Actually, from 1 to 13. Notice what it says. Actually, 1 to 14. Gospel of John, chapter 16, from verses 1 down to verse 14. This kind of says it all right here. These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogue. This today, that will be churches. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh when whosoever killeth you will think he doeth Yah's service. Remember, evil shall be called good, and good shall be called evil. Those that are seeking to be obedient to the covenant of Yah will be called evil and hunted to be killed. Whoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. It's going to come to that. Okay? And these things they will do unto you because they have not known the Father nor me. See, they could worship white Jesus all they want. That don't mean they know the Most High. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. But now I go my way to him that sent me, that is the Father. And none of you asketh me, whither goest thou? Because I have said these things unto you, sorrow hath filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. If I depart, I will send him unto you. Messiah has the power, or has been given the power from the Father, to send the Father's Spirit to whosoever he will. Okay? And he would not be able to do that if he wasn't the high priest. He's the high priest that stands between us and the Father. He represents righteousness to the Father. And he asks Father for forgiveness in his righteousness for us. Therefore, we can receive a Father's Spirit. That's how it works. So he said, if I don't go away, I can't send you the Father's Spirit. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. The world being the chosen people, not the whole earth, the chosen people. Of sin, because they believe not on me. Of righteousness, because I go to the Father and ye see me no more. Of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. I have many things, yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. Many things to tell you, but you're not ready. It's the same with me. It's the same with you. There's many things he could show us, but it would discourage us. If he showed us everything that was right in front of us, it would discourage us. He shows us what we need to know to keep going. Okay? Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. He will show you things to come. He shall glorify me, for he shall receive of mine and shall show it unto you. The Father's Spirit brings glory to the Messiah. Messiah is Father's word made flesh. So we say we love the Father. We say we want to be obedient to the Father and keep his covenant. We need Messiah. We can't reject Messiah and receive these things, this gift to do this. Okay? And we need that in order to be accepted by the Father. Okay? Now, he give us just what we need, but there's some time. The Bible tells us times ahead of us we don't even understand yet. That's rough. Like if he was to show us these things beforehand, we'd be discouraged. But he doesn't want to discourage us. He wants us to receive of his Spirit and trust him. Don't put your trust in man or politicians or denominations or churches or friends or whoever. Put your trust in the Most High Yah. Put your trust in him and in his word. Because we live in a world that's run, unfortunately, on hypocrisy. So that everything is deceitful. Nothing is as it appears. And there is no righteousness coming from any of these systems. Nothing is fair. You ever heard people say that, right? The world's not fair. You should not expect it to be fair. It's not fair. And it's not going to be fair. Not in this earth. It's not going to be fair. Nothing's going to be fair until Messiah's kingdom is established. That's perfect fairness. Okay? But on this earth, nothing is fair. We praise the Most High Yah for the kingdom soon to come. We praise him for the promise of the seal of his Spirit upon us. We praise him for protecting his word and keeping it through all this time so that we can receive it in the last few years of the history of this wicked system of Babylon. May the Most High bless you. May he keep you. May he cause his face of righteousness to shine upon you. May he lift up his countenance upon you to guide your steps in light and give you peace. Shalom.